Hello everybody, my name is James Elliott and I run Elliott Antique Clocks Limited, and I also run the eBay shop, the Horology Centre. But today, rather than showing you a finely restored carriage clock, I'm going to show you my bonsai garden here in Austria. This is a trident maple. It's about 40 years old. Really large trunk, the size of that compared to my hand. Lovely Nabari. That is one of the shortest trees. That's about sort of 75 centimeters tall. Here we have a trident group. That's about 80 centimeters tall. 21 trees. It was repotted this year, so we got quite large leaves. Superb large blue oval pot, and that's just a really charming thing. It's the optical illusion with the trunks at the back and the way your eye is led through the planting is what makes it really very special. That's great. And here we have Chinese juniper, probably about 35 years old, 90 centimeters tall, great movement, great shari. Again, it's a nice thickness, but you can't really judge that on camera. It's quite difficult. Colour's a bit off because it suffered from a fungus last year, and it's just starting to recover from that, and it really needs to fill out more. But that's what we'll do. That's what will happen this year. Stunning to shoujo. Can never pronounce that correctly. Really nice intense red foliage against that white pot, an absolute classic style. Lost a branch here unfortunately some time ago, so I've grafted this one, which emanates from back here somewhere, and I've wired it all the way round and then cut a V into the trunk. That's looking marvellous. Japanese reeds, they'll flower very soon. They're yet to take off. A few sort of cold nights that we've had hasn't really allowed that to quite flourish yet. Another Japanese maple. 4 trunks this time. And then we got a double trunk there with some fabulous movement. Leaves are quite big on this one as well. Repotted that this year, so next year this will look mighty fine. I mean, it looks great now, but it will look even better next year. And the same will be said about this one. Done quite a lot of work on this. When it first came to me, the child trunks were extremely close to the parent trunk, so I've fed a wire underneath the pot, then attached it to these large gauges of wire, and then with a nice rubber pad to protect the tree. And I did that when I repotted it. I didn't put a massive amount of strain on the branches because it was just leafing out. but just enough to secure it into the pot, get some tension by twisting this wire from this point here and then on the other side, and just so it really secures it well in the pot as well. And these two trees were quite weak when they first came to me. I bought them in February and the buds were absolutely tiny. The soil was really compact, and there was no sort of leading bud, as it were. It literally came out in a pair and that was it. So after repotting, you know, they've really taken off. They look like different trees now, and they will just get better and better. This one I need to increase the ramification. At the apex there was a branch here that I removed that just came straight up, and it was really just straight and, you know, really quite ugly, and you know, you lost all this lovely movement. I also removed a branch here. You can see that was last year and it's healed up fantastically. There's another one here, so I won't cut this little sprout here. I'll let that grow to close this wound up, and then cut it back. Though I obviously won't let it get too big. Here we have Japanese white pine. Again, really needed repotting when it first came to me, and over the winter I lost a load of needles on this, what do you call it, a trunk? I don't know. It's in the style of a child trunk, so let's call it a child trunk. But since then, you know, it's really coming back well. You know, it's in its new part, nice free draining soil. Great movement to that trunk. It's a sort of classic, the way it sort of leans away and then turns back in towards us and then back the other way. Absolutely superb. And that lovely ancient fissured bark really gives it lots of character. It's a great tree. I need to wire it. I need to get more sort of domed apex, and I need to fill out this child trunk. And once I've done that, that will be an absolute cracker of a tree. I mean, it is already, but it's one more in the making. And talking of cracking trees, here we have an extremely mature Kiyomi. Very ancient tree, still very vigorous, very strong. And if we go in, we'll have a look at this really large Nabari. Look at it against my hand. It was imported in 1980 to the UK, and then it was put in the ground. Presumably where that's where it got its massive girth from. And I've done some styling on this tree. If we can see in here, there was a branch. It was really long and leggy, and it came right up here and had nothing on it. Just at the end, it was just one branch with some ramification on it, and it really didn't look nice. So I removed that, and as you can see, I've guy wired the whole branch back in towards the trunk. So this pad originally was coming directly at us, and now I've moved it to the side and closer in. And I've also done the same here to this branch. That's about a 10-year-old branch, so I was really concerned when wiring that. I took a brave pill, and but I got some great movement in it, because before it was really straight and it was just coming out to the side, and you'd never see a more straighter branch in your life. So I've wired it and then turned it again back into the tree, back into the trunk, giving it a more sort of compact feel. and I also removed the branch here. This beautiful area here, this child trunk, was completely shaded out by a branch that came across here, and you couldn't see it, and it was a little bit weak last year, and this year it's really nice and strong now since I shortened that branch. So I'm going to make a nice sort of little pad inside so it's nice and close, and you can see I've wired it into position. And it was the same story for this child trunk. It was being shaded out by this branch that I was talking about that I'd removed, and since then it's really come back nice. You've got a few sort of large leaves here, and I've done a lot of pinching on this tree to get it to look like this. Every sort of like week I go and I pinch. I obviously let it grow out first, pinch it back, and then within sort of 3 days it's you know, it's throwing out loads of new growth again. Absolutely fabulous tree. It's got a few scars, unfortunately, there and there. I think the apex was lost at one point and been regrown, say about 10 years ago. So that's a shame, but I think you can forgive it for that, because I wager that's the most mature Kiyomi in Europe. What else did I do to this tree? Also, this branch here, I've brought this in here because it was way off in this direction, practically going sort of, you know, away from the trunk, and I pulled that round with guy wires because there was a massive sparse hole here last year, and I'm just moving all that back in there to close that up and give it a more sort of balanced design. But it's just loving life at the moment. You can see by the colour. I pinched it about, gave it a good pinching 3 days ago, and you can already see all that growth coming back. I'll let that grow for a couple of days and then I'll pinch that back. You've got to allow the tree to enjoy as much sun as possible. You can only do it through those leaves. There's another really special tree. Both of these came from Marcus Watts. Really fantastic dealer. I mean, he really doesn't sell the quantity of trees as maybe the really commercial guys, but I feel the more commercial they are and the more they sell is not a good thing with bonsai, because then they use, you know, they're worrying more about sort of profit margins, and they're not giving each tree the attention that it requires, or the quality of soil. And he really sort of works on these as if they're his own, so I can highly recommend him. Cornish trees, there's a shout out for you, Marcus. This is a really large DeSoto. Great movement in the trunk, cracking the Nabari. It's grafted, so it's got really strong rootstock from a regular mountain maple with a DeSoto top. And we can see should have done this video early because the sun is starting to play havoc with this video. So really the foliage is ever so slightly more of a pinky colour than the other one we were looking at earlier, which is more sort of deep intense red. This is about, I don't know, 90 centimetres tall. It's a really big tree in that lovely beautiful white part. Stunning, really stunning. And to the shortest, smallest tree, remind me of home, little English hornbeam, which is just starting to leaf out. That's why it's looking a little bit sparse. So the sun's just starting to hit the bonsais now. It's coming from behind the tree. I love that white pine, just Great movement, classic bonsai. One last look at that Kiyomi into Sojo. And there we have it. Thanks very much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. Bye for now.